So I love Jon Bellion, and we're doing a reaction video on his interview with George Janko on the George Janko podcast. As you know, Jon Bellion does not do interviews if you're a true fan. I'm a true fan, but watching him since like the past 9 years when he was doing the behind the scenes stuff, when he was making like crazy beats, when he had that big gold chain and like the comb over. I love Jon Bellion. Like he's like a 39, however old he is, the 32-year-old version of like Jacob Collier, but with swag. And he's from New York, so I automatically love him. If you're from New York, like comment or like subscribe or something if it gets all the way out there. But they get super vulnerable. They get super vulnerable with this conversation. And I loved it because I had no idea Jon Bellion was a believer. And that's why it's hit my channel, because he's a believer. He goes through a lot, like with his contracting, his first contract with Live Nation, going on a 6-year hiatus and still making music in the background. Like he's a giant. He's got a family, and he's just a stand-up dude, and I love him. And I'm so thankful that George got him on his show to talk and be vulnerable, which is all it's about. And you guys are going to see some vulnerability from me, just in relation to this content. So let's talk about it.
Honored. And when people come up to me and they say that, I say, save your compliments. It ain't me. It's all the King of Kings. He just placed me. I was a utensil. When people go, oh, I started my relationship with God because of you. No, you didn't. My lips, I'm the messenger. If you ain't going to shoot the messenger, don't thank the messenger. I'm just a vessel. Now, before I get to work, I present it to my God. Is there a realm that you do that with your music?
Yeah, I've had to learn to do that. If what I'm making every day is just an offering, that's all I'm doing every day.
Is it a prayer? Is it like a breathing tactic? Like how do you invite him in? Like how does it look like?
I think at times, generally, I could do a better job at inviting him in 100% of the time when I'm working. That's for sure. Yeah. I'd love to be consistently imagining everything being ran through the guise of what God would want me to do. You know what I'm saying? But I think because he gave me the gift, I feel something with me when I'm working all the time. I'm like, ooh, that's that thing that I like. I can't believe I get to interact with this thing, this idea that pops into my head or the whatever. That's why I come back every day. So I think
That's powerful. Because, I mean, obviously the gifts are given from God. Like, we have to remember that. And when you're a powerful producer like Jon Bellion, like that is the fact that your gift was given from God is very easy to forget, especially if you're very successful, which he is. Just being able to go in the basement and like make music and like almost, I don't know what his success rate is, but 9 times out of 10, his music is a hit. And filtering your work through God is so good because there's this emotion that we all have or can go through, which it's called pride. Like this, you ever heard of pride? And pride can remove you from the adolescence of you actually having that gift and being continuously fired up with what God has placed in your life as a talent. And you see a lot of people, like very talented artists, whatever, like they're number one critic, and they fall out of love with what it is that God has placed them to do in this world through their gift. So, like George was saying, like with him being on the podcast, like he's obviously getting a bunch of messages from people like, oh my gosh, like, I mean, you can just read his comments. Like, it's a bunch of really nice stuff, some bad, some good. And that can really get to your head, but also submitting your work to God is so powerful in the sense that you don't need everybody else's approval. You don't need the viewership. You don't need the likes and the subscribers and the watch time. Like, I'm not doing it for that. I'm doing it to glorify God's kingdom. And if that's not your main objective, then you might fizzle out. You might end up doing some shiesty things to get to the top. You might hurt somebody to get to the top. So submitting your work through God is powerful. And I told you I was going to get vulnerable, but my father passed away in November, and it was a very hard time because although he was working while he had cancer, I was working too. And I regret this, but I didn't take time off from work. I worked all the way through up until the last week of him passing away. And I wish I didn't do that, but I, was reading the Bible consistently. That was like the only thing keeping me awake or up or functionable. And I came across this verse, and it fits perfectly with this. And it was Colossians 3:23. It was, work willingly at whatever you do, as though you're working for the Lord rather than for people. Remember that the Lord will give you an inheritance as your reward, and that the master you are serving is Christ. So I was like, dang, like the money wasn't motivating me. My title wasn't motivating me. My years of experience didn't matter. Like I might as well have been brand new. And I had to find another way, another source to be able to continue. And that verse is what it was. So submitting your work to God is so powerful because it keeps you on solid ground. It keeps you humble, and it keeps your passion for what it is that you're doing alive because God has given it to you. And as you work on the talent that he's giving you in your life, it's kind of like, yo, God, like, check this out. I just did this, or I just did that. I did this. And like, for me, like, this YouTube thing is, I want to quit sometimes. Like, I really honestly want to quit. People don't adhere to this message. Like, people run away from the Bible, literally. And I didn't realize that the cross was going to be this heavy. And me being faithful and patient is so hard because people are commenting negative things. I mean, stuff's not it's not reaching people, I guess you could say. And it's taking too long. It's taking too long. But I have to realize that it's not about my timing, and it's not about when I want it, and it's not about, like George said, it's not me that's changing your heart. It's you watching this video, seeing God use me as a vessel, and you're seeing him through this channel. And he, God, is changing your heart, not me. And whatever comes from the Bible is good. I mean, 2 Timothy talks about it. Like, it's there to correct you, show you right and wrong, and everything. All good is inspired by God through the Bible. And he uses it to, teach and equip people to do their best work. And Galatians 9 says, so let's not get tired of doing what is good. Regardless of the comments, like, this is good, and I have to remember that. And it continues to say, at just the right time, we will reap a harvest of blessing if we don't give up. So therefore, whenever we have the opportunity, we should do good to everyone, especially to those in the family of faith. So that hit home for me. Submitting my work to God, working for him, and realizing that this is good. Like, doing this is good. This is good. God is looking at me and smiling. Regardless if I get 1 view or 1 million, like, it doesn't matter. Like, I can't give up. Like, I have to continue to serve him. And he promises that I will reap an inheritance. Maybe it might take 25 years, like it took Abraham to have a kid. From 75 to 100, that's how long it took him. But he had faith, and God delivered on his promise. So I thought that was awesome.
I just think of it, or now in my older age, I try to think of it as an offering. It's just like when my son brings me a crayon. It's not even a crayon thing, because this is like a I'd be lying. He's not old enough yet to like show me a picture. But when he does something at 2 years old, when he does something and he shows it to me, I don't give a fuck that it's bad. It's my son. I'm like, dude, he like scribbled on this thing. It looks like absolute shit, but it is better than a diamond necklace that somebody could give to me. This is the best thing ever. So I'm like, oh, that's gotta be me to heaven. That's gotta be me to heaven every day. It's
That's
like,
why he's the
I
heavenly
scribbled on
father.
this. I'm like, this is gonna change the world. He's like, oh, you like scribbled on some shit. But you're my son, and I'm so excited that you did that. So honestly, to answer your question, it's very much like, all I'm gonna do is just hang up my things on the refrigerator. I'm gonna do the best I can. Because when my son, real time, when my son tells me I did the best I can, and I know he did, I'm proud of what he did. So I just want to do the best I can every day. That's it. Because I know he's well pleased in me doing the best I can. Whether it's commercially successful and it becomes a number one or whatever, I don't think that's the artist's plight. It's nice to make money, and we should, and whatever. I'm not saying I'm like the purest, whatever, but like, yeah. And you asked, what is it, the preparation or the whatever? It's like, holy crap, I get to go do this for a living. Holy crap.
That's crazy. Oh, man. Like, that really hits home, because I want to give up sometimes, y'all. I really do. And this video really helped out a lot, because he painted the picture perfectly. Like, when his son comes up to him and it's like, Dad, like, I painted this picture, and like you say, it looks like crap. But he literally tried his best, his son. And we're all God's children. I don't know if God looks at us as a 26-year-old or 27-year-old. I don't know if that's how he does it. But we get to submit work to him. And what is that work? Maybe it's your talent, whatever you're creating, like actually creating. But our work is also how we treat people, how we serve people, like how we treat ourselves, how we treat the relationship between us and God. And he's watching that, and he's smiling, or he's like, why are you doing that? And that's so pivotal to remember. Like, I just want to do my best, God. I just want to do my best. And whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's art, photography, modeling, your job, you're a father, you're a husband, wife, whatever it is that you are, God's watching us, and he sees everything that we do in private. And speaking from my own experience, I want to throw in the towel, but I have faith, and I believe in my God, and my God is bigger than my doubts and my fears that this is not going to work out. And I have to submit my work to him, because as the world is not smiling on this message, as people are not saying like, yo, this is fantastic, like I'm gonna send this to my best friend and all their other friends because they need to hear this message, as this message stays on the ground, I have to be satisfied that what I'm doing is good, and what it is that you're doing that hasn't picked up yet, I pray that it's good. Obviously, if you're out here doing some wild stuff, like, but if it's glorifying the kingdom, it's good. And if you're being honest and your heart is where it's supposed to be, it's good. So remember that, and remember to work for God, like Colossians 3:23 and 24 says, like, don't work for people because they're going to rip your masterpiece up and throw it in the trash because they're jealous, they're envious, they're coveting what gift you have that they don't have. Like, remember that. Remember that God is your heavenly Father, and he's looking down at you as you, like Jon Bellion said, like putting that picture on the refrigerator with the little ABCs and the numbers and saying, God, like, check this out. And he's smiling. And like that hit home for me. Like that really helps out a lot. And I want you to remember, like, don't give up. Don't give up. Like Galatians 9 says, do not give up. If you're doing good and just at the right time, you will reap an inheritance and a reward from the Master, Jesus Christ. So I hope this helped out. Jon Bellion, if you see this dude, just like it. I don't even care if you comment. I know you're not on social media. I know you don't even have like a YouTube app on your phone. Like, if you see this, just like it, because this really helped out a lot. And you remaining childlike is going to enable your impact to last forever. If you're filtering your work through God, you're working for him and not people, because obviously people are going to chew you up and spit you out like the stock market. They don't care. They don't care about the hard work, the blood, the sweat, and the tears, the testimonies. They don't care what you go through. They want to see that end product. And then when it's done, they're going to say, that's good or it's bad. And they're going to shun you if it's bad, for sure. And even if it's good, it's not good enough. And that messes with people's minds. So if this helped out, send this to a friend. I appreciate y'all for listening to my vulnerability. And a quote that I remembered is, yesterday's history, tomorrow's a mystery, and today is a gift. So enjoy it. Talk to y'all soon. Peace.